$750 million. Now, the first payments from that settlement are going out to counties across North Carolina. Attorney General Josh Stein is here with us. More on that tonight. We've been talking about this for years on the show, it seems like, sir. First of all, it's so good to see you.
Thanks, Tim.
I just want to ask you quick off the top. Obviously, the big news last week or the week before was the stroke that you had, the minor stroke. You look great. Are you feeling good?
Yeah, remarkably well and incredibly lucky. Obviously grateful for the health care that I received here. And grateful for my wife. My one piece of advice to everybody is listen to your spouse. They know better than you, and so I'm so excited to get on with the work of AG.
Wives across the state cheering you on after that one tonight. Okay, so this lawsuit that happened, let's just back up before so people know. So this was a nationwide lawsuit, and this was against these opioid manufacturers for basically marketing these to people or giving that. What was the gist of that?
So basically what we saw were Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family making billions and billions of dollars while millions of Americans got hooked on these opioid pills. So I helped to lead a national coalition of attorneys general, bipartisan, everyone in the entire country, to hold those drug companies accountable. And we are winning. We've won $26 billion so far. We're not done yet. And North Carolina's share is going to be $750 million. And the good thing about this deal is almost all of it has to go to attacking the problem. It's not going to go to fill potholes. It's going to tackle the opioid crisis.
Is that part of the lawsuit that determined that, or part of how you worded it? Or
it was how we worded it. As part of the settlement agreement, it was imperative to me that we don't repeat the mistake of the tobacco deal from 25 years ago, which was the largest settlement in AG history, state attorney general history, was the tobacco deal. This is the second largest AG settlement in history. But I didn't want that money to just get frittered away in the state government budget where it doesn't make a difference. It has to go to help people because people are suffering and struggling today in North Carolina, and we want to help them.
I mean, that is once in a generation type money, right? So how is this, we mentioned at the top through counties, but how is this being divvied up? And is that, I'm assuming this is going to be over a period of time.
It is. It's over an 18-year period of time with the bulk of the money front-loaded in the first 5 to 8 years. And in North Carolina's case, 85% of it is going to go to the counties, the local government. 15% is going to go to the state. But regardless of which level of government gets the money, it has to go to the problem. The reason why we prioritize the local governments is because this problem is felt intensely at the local level. It's in our jails, it's in our social services, it's in our local emergency departments. So we wanted those counties to be able to use the resources to make a difference in their constituents' lives.
So we had some faith-based organizations on last night. They're really pushing hard for a lot of this money to go to some of the harm reduction programs they do. Are those the type of programs, and are those the decisions that the counties are going to be making, which types of those programs go to?
Exactly, Tim. Each level of government gets to choose for itself because the problem is different in different counties and the resources are different. Some have gaps in treatment. Others have gaps in harm reduction. Others don't have enough recovery services. Others want to have prevention programs. So we want to allow the flexibility of local government to tailor their program to their needs. I visited Charlotte and met with a group called Queen City Harm Reduction, and their focus is trying to help keep people stay alive and stay alive in the healthiest manner possible so when they're ready to go through detox and treatment and live a life of recovery, they have that support network. I visited Hickory, the law enforcement assisted diversion program through their police department. What they do is when they meet people on the street who have drug addiction, and a lot of people in the criminal justice system do, is they try to move them out of jail and criminal justice and into health care so they can get treated and become healthy and well. I was in Wilmington at Coastal Horizons, which is a premier treatment facility in North Carolina. They serve hundreds of people every day who have addiction, but they are treating that addiction and helping them go on with their life. These folks go to work every day. They live at home. They earn for their families. They pay their taxes. They just have substance use disorder, and this organization can help them. So there are so many exciting initiatives happening across North Carolina, and these funds are going to make a difference.
And they're needed, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Sit tight. We got to take a quick break. Much more with Attorney General Josh Stein on the opioid crisis in North Carolina and some potential solutions they're looking at. Stay with us. Welcome back to Capitol Tide. I'm Tim Boyum. Tonight we're talking with North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein about the first payments from the massive $750 million opioid settlement starting to go out to counties around the state. Again, thank you for staying with us, sir. We got a few minutes left. We've talked about this for years, and we were making progress as a state on the opioid crisis, and then the pandemic hit. and it sort of did, went one of these. So is the timing of this really important, potentially, this money going out, to help us get back on the right track?
Yeah, we're at the deadliest moment of what is the deadliest drug epidemic in American history. Last year in the United States, more than 100,000 people died, which was some 40, from 2019 to 2020, there was a 40% increase in addiction deaths. And then there was another 20% from 20 to 21. And so the pandemic just took this table and flipped it upside to so many people's lives, and all of the isolation, anxiety, job loss, depression, those factors which so many people experience because of the pandemic are factors that drive addiction, drug use, and sadly overdose. And so we have got to get a handle on it. And to your point, it was particularly tragic because 2019, we'd actually seen a decline, the first decline we'd seen in years because of a lot of hard work of a lot of good people. But I am filled with hope because as I've traveled today, I've done probably 9 or 10 of these community roundtables in the last couple of weeks where I'm meeting with local policymakers, local service providers, local law enforcement, healthcare providers, and the degree of sophistication and their cooperation and the degree of their commitment to making a difference is unparalleled, much better than where it was 4 years ago when I first started working on this issue. And now finally we have resources that are dedicated. And so I'm hoping that by marrying the passion and the resources, we can make a difference in people's lives.
So we had some vets on yesterday that are pushing for medical marijuana, and they said because the opioids, either some people are going to are abusing them, or they just didn't do enough, or they don't want to be on them. Is that a potential solution? I ask you that in particular because obviously you're the top cop in North Carolina, and some law enforcement is concerned about that. Is that something we need to look at?
I am certainly open to and supportive of medical marijuana authorization in North Carolina. I believe that the law could be more tightly drafted than what it currently is, and I hope the legislature tightens it up so that it's more protective. I'm particularly concerned about not wanting to convey to kids that, hey, marijuana is a healthy product for you. You know, these green heart, these green cross emblems, as if it's a good thing. It can help people with certain healthcare conditions, but it's not a vitamin that we want young people to be using. So I want it to be done right here in North Carolina. I think it can help people with anxiety and with different types of pain. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of good science to back up a lot of the health claims of marijuana, but that's because federal law prohibited research from being done. And my hope is that that research gets done as quickly as possible so we know how it can best be used.
Do you think law enforcement can get on board if what you're saying, the law is tightened up, that they can?
I mean, I think so. I believe we should decriminalize marijuana today. That means, it does not mean legalize it, but it means let's not make it a crime, because we are arresting tens of thousands of people, often young people, for marijuana possession, simple possession, when we are now burdening them with a criminal record that will be with them for the rest of their lives. For what? I mean, yes, we don't want young people doing it, but we also don't want to create challenges for young people who are already facing enough challenges as it is.
Yeah, no question. Sir, thank you. It's good to see you. I know you're busy. It's good to see you back in the studio.